All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another deep dive with us. This one's going to hit home for anyone who's ever felt, that little bit of awkwardness trying to find their place in a new church. Like, how do you actually integrate, not just show up on Sundays?
It's a real thing. And
Yeah.
that's what's so cool about this Christian podcast we're diving into today.
Ooh, lay it on me.
It's called, get this, Finding Your Place, integrating into your local church with authenticity and love.
Whoa, okay. Authenticity and love, two words I very much need in my life.
Yeah.
But, like, how do those even go together? Can you really be your true, messy self and be accepted, loved, all that?
Right. That's the million-dollar question. And this podcast, they jump right into it by talking about ditching preconceived notions.
Okay, preconceived notions. Sounds kind of heady. Can we bring that down to earth? Like, what does that even look like when you walk into a new church?
Totally. Imagine this. You walk in, and you instantly assume everyone's already got their friend groups, their cliques, the whole 9 yards.
Ugh, yeah, instant anxiety.
Right. You're like, well, I'm out here before I even start.
So true. It's like you've already decided it's going to be hard before you give it a shot.
Exactly. But what if instead you walked in thinking, hey, maybe there are some awesome people here who'd be stoked to see a new face?
Okay, yeah, that feels way less intimidating.
Right. It's about ditching that baggage and giving yourself and the community a chance.
Like hitting the reset button on my expectation.
Exactly. And there's this verse in John. It says, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free.
The truth will set you free.
Powerful, right? Like that truth can help us break free from all those limiting beliefs about ourselves and the people we're hoping to connect with.
Okay, so it's not just about being open-minded, but actively choosing to see things differently.
Spot on. Mental spring cleaning. Love it.
But how do we actually do that? It's easy to say be more open, but like putting it into practice feels way tougher.
That's where this idea of renewing your mind comes in. The podcast even backs it up with Romans 12.2, all about challenging those assumptions.
So, like, maybe I had a bad experience at another church ages ago, but I shouldn't let that color how I see this new one.
Exactly. This is a new place, a new chance. That's the vibe.
It's like I can't control what happened before, but I can control how I approach this new situation.
It's empowering, right?
Totally.
And it also ties into forgiveness. Holding on to bitterness from past church stuff or even just like social awkwardness can block you from connecting.
For sure. You're carrying all that weight around.
Totally. So this is where forgiving yourself and others helps pave the way for what the podcast calls a good disposition.
Good disposition.
Yeah.
You mean like showing up with a positive attitude.
Yeah. Choosing to focus on the good stuff that could happen. This is especially key for introverts, which, fun fact, includes me.
Wait, seriously. But you're always so good at like talking to people and stuff.
Oh, trust me, it's a learned skill. The podcast talks about how stepping outside that comfort zone, even in small ways, can be huge.
Okay, so instead of waiting for someone to come up to me, I should just go for it.
What if you struck up a conversation after service? Just a quick thing.
Okay, but what do I even say? Nice sermon. That's so awkward.
It can be, yeah, but it doesn't have to be about the sermon. Maybe you compliment someone's outfit or just say, hey, it's nice to see another new face here. Just keep it real.
Yeah, I like that. Small steps, keeping it genuine. And sometimes, honestly, just a smile does wonders. Like when someone smiles at me, I instantly feel more relaxed.
100%. It's that universal language of kindness. And the cool thing is, you're not changing who you are. You're just finding ways to express yourself in this new setting.
This is already making me feel more equipped for, like, the whole new church thing.
Yeah.
But what about those times when you do put yourself out there and people aren't so welcoming? That could be really discouraging.
Oh, it definitely happens. We're all human, right?
Yeah.
Not every interaction is going to be sunshine and roses. The podcast reminds us, even in church, disagreements, hurt feelings, they happen.
Okay, so what do we do when that happens? Because if I'm being honest, my instinct is to just retreat back into my shell.
It's a common one. But remember that whole forgiveness thing we talked about? It's not just for past stuff, it's for right now, too.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, so the podcast brings up this verse, Colossians 3.13:14. It says, bear with each other and forgive one another.
Bear with each other.
Yeah.
Oh, that feels very relevant for those moments when you're like, oh, this person is driving me crazy.
Right. It's about extending grace to them and to yourself. Maybe you said something awkward or misread a situation. It's okay. Forgive yourself. Move on. That freedom makes it so much easier to actually build good relationships.
Forgiving myself, forgiving others. Got it. So building on that relationships idea, the podcast suggests finding a way to serve within the church. What are your thoughts on that?
I think finding a place to serve can be awesome, but it can't just be checking a box. It's got to be something you're actually passionate about. What do you enjoy doing? Where do you feel like you can contribute?
Hmm, that's a good question. Well, I love to bake. Maybe I could volunteer for like a church coffee hour or something.
Yeah.
That way it wouldn't feel like work. It'd be something I actually enjoy.
Exactly. Or maybe you're great with kids and could help out with the Sunday school. The podcast really emphasizes using your strengths, your gifts to figure out where you fit.
That makes it feel less like, I don't know, a chore and more like an adventure. Like, what cool thing am I going to discover about myself in this community?
I love that. And speaking of discovering, the podcast has a really interesting take on this whole working for the Lord thing, especially within the church. They even quote Colossians 3:23-24.
Hold on, let me grab that.
Mhm.
Okay. Colossians 3:23-24. It said, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters.
Boom. It's not just about tasks, it's about pouring your heart into something that, aligns with what you believe and brings you joy. And you know what? When we're passionate about something, it shows, and that can draw others into.
It's like finding your niche within the church, that place where you can really shine and connect with others who get it.
I love that analogy, that sweet spot where your skills and passions meet the needs of the church. But even beyond finding a place to serve, the podcast says integrating goes deeper. It's about cultivating love.
The L word. Okay, now you're really challenging me,
Mm.
because that sounds beautiful and all, but how do you cultivate love when you're still new and haven't built those connections yet? It's like a chicken and egg thing.
Such a good point.
Well,
And that's where the rubber meets the road. But thankfully, they give some pretty practical advice.
okay, I'm all ears. Prayer. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. You mean like praying for the people in the church?
Exactly. Might sound kind of basic, but praying for specific people, even if you barely know them, it can totally shift your perspective. Like sending out little beams of love and good vibes.
I like that, little beams of love. So it's
Yeah.
like you're choosing to see the good in them, even if you haven't really had a chance to see it yet.
Right. Focusing on their best qualities. And you know what? That focus, it can actually make you more open to seeing those qualities play out in real life.
So it's not just some mystical thing. It's like setting an intention that can influence how you see people.
Exactly. The podcast even suggests like a strategy. After each service, pick one person you saw and just pray for them. Focus on one good thing, maybe their smile, or how into the music they were.
That's cool. I never thought about it like that. Way more concrete than just pray for people.
Okay, so prayer, step one. What else can we do to like cultivate this love thing?
Well, remember how we talked about ditching those preconceived notions? That comes in here too. Instead of zeroing in on differences, try finding common ground. Maybe you both have kids the same age, or you hear them talking about your favorite hobby, boom, instant connection point.
Ooh, I like that. Takes the pressure off, right? It's not like I got to become BFFs with everyone right away. Just find those little things. Exactly. And here's another tip from the podcast. Look for chances to express appreciation. Maybe someone held the door or said something smart during a group discussion. Just acknowledge it.
Yeah, like just noticing and appreciating the good stuff, even the small things.
Right. And remember, love isn't just a feeling, it's a choice, an action. Sometimes it means being patient when someone's bugging you or reaching out to someone who looks lonely, even if it feels awkward.
So showing up with that loving attitude, even if you don't feel it right then.
Exactly. Which, by the way, brings us back to the podcast episode's title, Finding Your Place. Integrating into your local church with authenticity and love.
Oh, yeah. The one that had me wondering if authenticity and fitting in could even coexist.
That's the one. Well, get this. The podcast says love is actually the key to navigating that whole tension.
Wait, what? How does that work?
Think about it. When you lead with love, you're creating a space for authenticity. Love lets you be yourself, quirks and all, because it builds acceptance and understanding.
Whoa, that's deep. So it's not about hiding who you are, it's about letting love be the foundation. That way, you can be your true self and connect with people.
Exactly. And that, my friend, is how you integrate into a church, a new city, whatever, with both authenticity and love.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. This whole conversation has been jam-packed. Before we wrap things up, should we recap those key takeaways? Let it all sink in a little.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Okay, I'm still like processing all that, especially that link between love and authenticity. It's like you've given me a whole new way to look at this whole fitting in thing.
It really is a cool way to think about it, right? And the best part is it works anywhere, not just church.
That's so true. Like, even if I'm joining a book club or moving to a new city, all those things still apply. Ditching the assumptions, forgiving myself for those awkward moments, you know, looking for what we have in common, trying to see the good in people. It's like a cheat code for making friends.
I love that. A cheat code for connection. You nailed it.
So before we wrap up this awesome deep dive, let's do a quick recap for our listener who's, figuring out this whole new church thing. What were the big takeaways again?
We started with getting rid of those preconceived ideas, that mental refresh so you can see things with fresh eyes.
And that connects to forgiveness too, right?
Well,
Forgiving ourselves, forgiving others, even forgiving the church itself if we've had a bad experience.
100%. Then we got into the practical stuff, ways to actually get involved, even for the introverts out there. Starting conversations, smiling at people, finding those little things we connect on, it all adds up.
And don't forget about finding a place to serve. Turning that into the way to connect by using our passions, our talents. It's about contributing in a way that feels good.
Perfectly said. And last but not least, cultivating love. It's not just a feeling, it's something we actively do through prayer, by looking for the good in others, focusing on the things we all share.
This deep dive has been incredible. Huge thanks to our listener for inspiring us to talk about all this. We hope you've learned some practical stuff and have a new perspective on what it means to really become part of a new church.
Remember, it's a journey, not a race. Take it slow, try new things, and don't be scared to put yourself out there. You never know what awesome people are waiting to connect with you.
And on that note of encouragement, we're wrapping up this episode of The Deep Dive. Until next time, keep being curious, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the stuff that matters most to you.